To conquer a species, understand its fears. To fear a species, fail to understand it. Dominion Strategist Core, File 000S. First Contact Protocols. The stars shimmered above Earth's upper atmosphere like distant fireflies, ignorant of the warship slicing silently between them. The Sovereign Mercy, flagship of the Dominion's diplomatic fleet, hung in low orbit above the Pacific, gleaming like an obsidian dagger. 6 kilometers of layered alloy and antimatter veins, she was more cathedral than ship, built not just for war but to inspire obedience. The Dominion hadn't lost a first contact since the sundering of Valax Prime. Earth was supposed to be a formality. Inside the bridge, Sub-Commander Vecthar adjusted his cranial servo rings. His long fingers danced across the interface in practiced organic rhythm. Beside him, a bioluminescent diplomat slave floated in a zero-G tank, translating his words into a dozen frequencies for passive broadcast. "Commence standard welcome protocol," Vecthar intoned. "No weapons, no shields. Show them we come as gods, not soldiers." The diplomat pod hummed and began its gentle, encoded pulse toward Earth. Greetings, non-aggression intent, planetary, cultural queries. The usual script. Polished, peaceful, flawless. Until the screaming started. Not from Earth, but from the pod. The entire chamber went red. "Sir!" a tech drone rasped. "The envoy ship, the feeder-class courier we sent ahead, it's gone, incinerated mid-atmosphere, no projectile impact, just vaporized." "Internal detonation?" Vecthar barked, eyes narrowing to slits. "No, the last thing it transmitted was a voice." The bridge silenced. Dominion ships did not get spoken to. "Play it," Vecthar commanded. The audio crackled. Then came the voice. Male, human, thick with a drawl so casual it felt surgical. "You boys sure you want to land? Might want to rethink. But hey." A pause. "Hold my beer." Then static. And then the courier ship was gone. No debris, no signature, no survivors. 5 hours later, the Dominion response was swift, efficient, and silent. Contact denied. Earth had transitioned from diplomatic integration candidate to contain and subdue. An elite strike squad, Phantom Unit D7, was dispatched to a region tagged as Sector 14B, a semi-ruined swath of North America once known as Texas. Scans had flagged unusual radiation signatures and an anomalous energy pulse localized to a desolate canyon range, once used for weapons testing. Inside the drop capsule, Commander Ular checked the seals on his exoframe. The pressurized armor hissed around his 6-jointed limbs, wrapping muscle and mech into one form. Around him, the other 9 members of D7 prepared with synchronized precision. "Command thinks it's a holdout cell," said Latinta Racco, her voice smooth and detached, through the squad's neural link. "Some primitive resistance. One city region, maybe. Old military wreckage, heat bloom from what might be a reactor." "Unlikely," Yolar muttered. "Their tech base is fractured. They haven't achieved global coherence. We've seen this before. A last gasp of an ununified race." "Then why the kill order?" Ular glanced at the launch panel. "Because someone laughed at the Dominion. The drop capsules fired in sequence, each encased in carbon sheath plating that burned bright as miniature suns through Earth's atmosphere. They pierced the clouds and crashed into the canyon's edge like war gods descending. Silence followed. Then the ambient noise returned. Wind, dust, and the shrill call of a bird that should have gone extinct during the last heat wave. One by one, the squad emerged. Scanners blinked uncertainly. No heat signatures, no electromagnetic noise, no signs of civilization. But there was something. A faint crackling, analog Ular knelt and brushed dust from a black box embedded in the rock. Human tech. He interfaced. Playback ready. The screen blinked, and then the voice returned. Same man, same tone. "You sent 10 of your best. Appreciate the vote of confidence. Tell you what, I'll make this sporting." A loud crack echoed from the ridge above. Ular ducked instinctively, but Rocco wasn't fast enough. Her armor convulsed as an invisible rail slug hit her torso, with kilojoules of force, launching her 10 meters back into a jagged stone. Her vitals flatlined. The team scrambled for cover. Ular snarled. "Visual? Do we have a target?" But no one saw him. Not yet. Above, nestled in shadow, a lone human reclined behind a hybrid rifle that looked cobbled together from 5 centuries of warfare. Logan Cross sipped from a dented beer can, smirked, and whispered to himself, "Gods, huh? I've killed gods before." Then he clicked the rifle again. The hunt had begun. Tactics win battles. Terrain wins wars. But when the terrain fights back, you're already dead. Unknown Dominion Field Report. Earth Incursion Log. The first sign something was wrong came when the ground breathed. Delta 7 had seen combat in acidic swamps of Vexar, in the vacuum-lit tunnels of Myra 9, and even in the living, screaming forests of Koralth. But Earth was off. Quiet in a way only dying worlds are quiet. The wind carried heat and fine ash, the scent of oil and rust, and under it all, a thrum, low, predatory, and constant. Commander Yolar led the team through the gorge, half destroyed, buildings looming like broken teeth on either side. Their HUDs pulsed with fractured telemetry. Static flickered across comms. Environmental readings shifted every few minutes. Gravity fluctuations, spiking radiation, EM interference. Natural. Disasters don't stack like this, Yolar thought. This is engineered. Report, he ordered through the neural link. Rocco's replacement trooper Velton responded first. Motion sensors blind. Optics detecting phantom shadows, but nothing visible. Could be drones. Could be camouflage. Netting. Tech specialist Varric added. There's something scrambling our scans. Artificial layered. Feels like second-gen human tech but twisted. Like someone built a jamming field out of scrap and malice. Yolar narrowed his eyes behind his visor. Still no visuals on the target? No, sir, Varric said. But we're not alone. I don't think we ever were. They advanced cautiously through the canyon, boots crunching over cracked concrete and scorched earth. The old signs were still legible in places. U.S. government property, no trespassing, and one barely hanging on. Welcome to Fort DeWitt, home of the brave. Irony. As they passed through what remained of the central plaza, a faint ping sounded. From Sergeant Vrex's suit. Pressure plate. Too late. The explosion was silent and vicious. Not fire, but force. A shaped kinetic charge launched Vrex 20 feet into the air before gravity tripled in an instant and slammed him back down. His armor crumpled like foil. His pulse flatlined. One kill. No warning. Yolar ground his teeth. Recover the core, leave the shell. They moved faster now, tension rising. The traps weren't just deadly, they were intelligent, set with purpose. Each one exploited Dominion weaknesses like someone had studied their field manuals. And then the taunt started. A hollow speaker buzzed to life from inside a half-buried tank husk. A familiar voice echoed out, casual and amused. Bit jumpy for an elite squad. Didn't expect y'all to trigger the first toy so soon. That one's called the Y'all Ain't Lightweights special. Hope your buddy had good insurance. Private. Jatal snapped around, aiming at the speaker. I'll shoot it. No, Yolar growled. He wants that. Focus, he's baiting us. Another speaker chimed in from behind them. Still moving forward, huh? Bold. Tell me, does your empire always send cannon fodder before they figure out who they're dealing with? Then laughter. Cold. Confident. Human. Varric glanced at Yolar. He's watching us. Probably feeding live from thermal, maybe EM lensing. He's got a grid. No, Yolar said. He is the grid. He is the... That's when the storm hit. A localized EM pulse surged from the canyon's northern ridge, shorting all Dominion gear in a 30-meter radius. Visors went dark. Auto-targeting died. Shields flickered and died like candles in vacuum. For 3 full seconds, Delta 7 was blind, deaf, and defenseless. 3 seconds was a lifetime. From somewhere in the dark, a high-velocity slug tore through Trooper Kelzer's throat vent. A second round detonated a microfusion cell on Varric's hip, setting off a chain reaction that leveled the left flank. Screams burst through the neural net, then cut to black. Yular flipped to emergency vision mode, systems rebooting on backup power. Smoke filled the air, shattered visors, burned metal, blood, 3 more dead. "Fall back," he commanded, voice low and shaking with restrained fury. "We regroup outside the kill zone, now." Only 4 of them made it back to the insertion, point scorched, limping, one dragging the inert form of a comrade whose armor hissed from a punctured coolant line. The voice came again, closer this time. "Y'all made it out? Damn. Maybe I am getting soft." Yular looked up at the ridge, a flicker of movement, a silhouette framed by smoke and storm clouds. The human was watching, not running, not hiding, waiting. Yular opened a secure line. "To orbit. Command, this is D7 actual, we are down 6. Target is localized but not containable. Requesting escalation protocols. Recommend orbital support. This is not a tribal remnant. This is..." A pause. Then with slow breath, he finished. "This is a goddamn war. Some men fear death, others drink beer while redesigning the laws of physics." Recovered field note from Dominion Tactical Archive, Earth Theater. The beer was warm. Logan Cross didn't mind. He sat beneath the shattered frame of a derailed freight mech, its twisted chassis shielding him from the worst of the rain. Thunder rolled over the Texas canyon like an angry god with indigestion. Nearby, the remains of the Dominion strike squad still smoked where they'd tried to breach his perimeter. One had triggered a phase snap mine, which inverted gravity for 0.8 seconds before releasing it all at once. Not elegant, but fun. Logan cracked open another can, shook the dust off it. "Domestic," he muttered, taking a sip and grimacing. "Tastes like feet and regret." Still better than anything the Dominion brewed. He figured their kind preferred fluids that peeled paint. His gear lay sprawled on an old supply crate beside him. A hybrid railgun patched together from a decommissioned U.S. orbital cannon, a Dominion shoulder-mounted plasma core, and the trigger assembly from a 50 cal Barrett. Frankenstein would have been proud. Next to it, a microcontroller array pulsed with blue light, repurposed from the Dominion scout drones he'd taken apart the day they tried their first low-orbit flyover. They thought they could scan me from the sky. They forgot what Earth does. To uninvited guests. A flickering holodrone hovered nearby, playing intercepted Dominion comms in a loop. Logan adjusted the volume just enough to hear the static panic voices of commanders who still didn't understand what they'd dropped into. Gravity flux confirmed. Casualties at 60%. Unknown Terran combatant exhibits post-biological response patterns, possibly augmented, possibly insane. He laughed, took another sip. "Possibly," he muttered. "Why not both?" 15 years ago, Logan had been part of Project Revenant, black-budget post-nationalist off the books, designed to build the last soldier Earth would ever need. When the world fractured, Revenant went dark. Most of its operatives disappeared. Logan didn't. He went off-grid, ghosted the satellites, and started prepping for the inevitable, and the inevitable showed up last week in a 6-kilometer cruiser, acting like it owned the sky. Logan stood and stretched, the servo plates in his spine releasing a low ch-ch as they locked back into place. He slipped on the railgun and slung the gravity disruptor core across his back. Old world tech, alien tech, and whatever was in between. "One man can't fight an empire," he muttered, walking toward the ridge. "But one man with enough stolen alien hardware and a grudge? That's a problem." The Dominion warcruiser descended through the upper stratosphere at dawn. It cast a black shadow that darkened cities. Officially named the Crucible of Order, it was armed with fusion lances, singularity projectors, and a command AI capable of running invasion scenarios across 10 million variables in real time. It wasn't designed for negotiation. It was built to end things. Inside its control chamber, strategist Vekthar paced. He watched as the wreckage of D7's drop zone streamed across his view in real time. Grayscale, blood-slick, and quiet. "This is not a planetary defense," he growled. This is not a resistance cell. This is a precision engagement, surgical, personalized. A ghost, his adjutant offered. A remnant from their past wars? No, Vekthar said. Something worse. He activated orbital targeting protocols. Scorch Sector 14B. Leave nothing. Logan watched the sky burn. A lattice of orange flares streaked through the clouds, precursor rounds from Dominion orbiters. Each contained a collapsible gravity well, miniature singularities designed to erase matter in a 3-kilometer radius. The ground beneath him started to quake. He knelt beside a buried junction box, ancient but wired with new life. Dominion. Tech fused with old Earth circuits. He pressed one button. Time to return the favor. From 4 kilometers away, a series of towers hidden beneath scrap heaps and geological camouflage roared to life. Improvised gravitational counterfields, each one set to bend the incoming singularities back upward. A few seconds later, the sky lit up again, only this time in panic. 3 of the Dominion singularity bombs reversed trajectory and slammed into the lower hull of the Crucible of Order. The explosion didn't destroy the ship, but it wounded it. And wounded Dominion ships got scared. AI scrambled. Tactical balance shifted. Up on the ridge, Logan cracked another can. That one's called the No Refund Special. Built it out of a toaster, 2 drone cores, and your mom's hairdryer. Then he smiled, because now the galaxy was watching, and Earth had just picked a fight. When diplomacy fails, send the fire. When fire fails, send the fear. Dominion Tactical Codex, Volume 7. Contingency Protocols. The Crucible of Order. Bled fire across the upper atmosphere. Chunks of superalloy plating tumbled into the Pacific like flaming asteroids, each leaving sonic booms in their wake. Inside the command chamber, emergency klaxons wailed in 12 languages, and holograms of damage zones flickered between red and black. Strategist Vekthar watched it all unmoving. This is not sabotage, he said quietly. This is not war. This is humiliation. He turned toward the tactical core where 3 Dominion AIs chattered in electromagnetic bursts, trying to reroute stabilizers and keep the ship from listing. Toward orbital decay. Engage ground incursion protocol, Vekthar ordered. Deploy the Abyss Legion, full combat saturation, all aerial and orbital support. Burn Sector 14B down to bedrock. His adjutant hesitated. Sir, planetary media networks are beginning to rebroadcast. The humans are watching. Vekthar bared his teeth. Then let them watch. Down on Earth, Logan Cross was moving. The Dominion had crossed the threshold from surgical strike to full-scale suppression. That meant automated drop legions, atmospheric drones, mobile siege crawlers, and worst of all, psychic suppression units capable of short-circuiting unshielded human minds. Good thing Logan's mind wasn't exactly standard issue anymore. He sprinted along the canyon's edge, hopping over twisted beams and half-buried railgun turrets. His body was a ghost in motion, every movement fluid, enhanced by the revenant neural web buried beneath his skin. A Dominion orbital camera caught a glimpse of him for 0.3 seconds. It was the last thing it ever transmitted before a reverse hack, fed a thermal overload into its core, detonating it mid-air. Logan didn't slow. He knew the Crucible would try to glass the entire canyon, but he hadn't spent 15 years turning Texas into a death trap just to get flash-fried by a bruised alien ego. That ship was wounded, yes, but still dangerous, still full of fire, and the fire was coming. He dropped into a narrow crevice, slid under rusted scaffolding, and arrived at what looked like the skeleton of an old missile silo, caked in dust, scarred by time but alive with humming energy. This was the Buried Tooth, one of 5 fail-safe command bunkers scattered across the region. Untouched by official governments, powered by geothermal arrays and insulated from orbital scans. Deep inside, shielded in quantum-threaded steel, was something Dominion had no concept of. Spite. The first wave of the Abyss Legion hit the ground at 0721 local time. Sleek, Black drop pods slammed into the canyon floor in tight formation. Each opened with a hiss, releasing Dominion enforcers. 8-foot-tall synthetic organic hybrids with no mouths, no eyes, just weapons and doctrine. They advanced without orders, without sound. Each one carried a grav lance in one hand and a monofilament axe in the other. It wasn't war. It was extermination. But something went wrong. Again. As the Abyss soldiers moved toward the central canyon, the ground beneath them cracked, not from weapons, but from music, a rising rumble of sound that grew louder by the second. Then came the voice. "Y'all ever hear of Pantera?" From hidden speakers wired through sewer grates and cave walls, the opening riff to Cowboys from Hell screamed into the air. At 180 decibels. For half a second, the Dominion units hesitated, not because of the music, but because their psychic equilibrium destabilized under the unfamiliar sonic frequency. In that moment, the trapdoors opened. Old Earth artillery platforms, long thought decommissioned, rose from the dust like prehistoric beasts. They had no smart targeting, no Dominion interfaces, no digital weaknesses. They just fired. Kinetic shells tore through the first wave of the Abyss Legion like sledgehammers through glass. Logan watched from the buried tooth, adjusting trajectory, feeds manually, eyes flickering with neural HUD data. "You brought an army," he said. "I brought Texas." On board the Crucible, Vecthar staggered as a tremor rippled through the ship's stabilizers. They hadn't expected Earth's relic tech to function, let alone fight. This wasn't how conquest was supposed to go. "Sir," a comms officer barked, "we're receiving an open broadcast. Unencrypted. Put it through." The screen blinked. Logan Cross appeared, mud-smeared, blood-splattered, and holding a beer like it was a weapon. "Tell you what, Shiny, you've got 30,000 troops, a half-dead flagship, and a planet full of places to die in. I've got 5 more canyons, a few nukes no one remembers, and a long weekend with nothing to do." He raised the beer. "Round 2? Then he took a sip and cut the feed. "Empires fall not when their armies are defeated, but when they face something they cannot categorize." Archivist Tellura, Dominion Strategic Memoirs, Volume 3. The problem with humans wasn't that they were violent. The problem was that they refused to lose properly. Dominion invasion simulations, flawless in theory, had accounted for insurgencies, civilian resistance, even low-level planetary rebellions. They hadn't accounted for Logan Cross. They hadn't accounted for laughter in the face of annihilation, or beer-fueled sabotage conducted with the reckless elegance of a man who found warfare slightly more entertaining than poker night. Strategist. Vecthar stood before the Dominion Assembly Corps aboard the Crucible of Order, surrounded by a holographic council of war-thinkers, tacticians, and neural tactors fed by 10 million battlefield reports. "We are facing a statistical aberration," one AI stated flatly. "Correction," another added. "We are facing a man." "This is a morale hazard," Vecthar growled. He broadcasts taunts, makes jokes. He turns defeat into performance. He slammed a clawed fist on the table. He is not just fighting us. He is mocking us. That, more than the losses, was the problem. No soldier should smile in the shadow of a war cruiser. Down below, Logan Cross was smiling. His right arm was bleeding from a shrapnel graze. His jaw ached from where one of the Abyss soldiers had managed to get a lucky hit in. He hadn't slept in 32 hours, but his grin was still there, crooked and defiant. "They're adapting faster than I'd like," he muttered, pulling a cracked Dominion helmet onto the workbench in front of him. "Means it's time to stop playing nice." Beside him, a wall of monitors showed multiple camera angles, thermal feeds, drone relays, seismic charts. Dominion enforcers were shifting formation. Their drop patterns now accounted for his ambush zones. Adaptive protocols were kicking in. The war cruiser's AI was adjusting. Logan cracked his neck. "Fine. You want escalation? Let's escalate." He tossed the helmet aside and opened a reinforced locker sealed with a thumbprint. "Retina. Scan and a spoken passcode. Hold my beer." The lid hissed open, revealing a cylinder wrapped in faded warning tape. Markings, Classified, fusion tech, unstable. Stolen from a black site in Nevada, decommissioned, probably illegal even before the collapse of organized Earth governance. He loaded it onto his rig. Back on the Crucible, a new report flickered into Vecthar's vision. Alert. Unregistered fusion core detonation. Localized containment in progress. Loss of 2 infantry companies confirmed, and then another. Alert. Field tactical interference. Human target using. Modified Dominion tech. Enemy status. Adaptive, unpredictable. The Council AI returned. Recommend psychological reclassification. This combatant does not follow logical threat escalation. He is non-doctrinal, irrational, humorous. He is a narrative disruption, added another. A living contradiction to Dominion protocol. He is, one began, but paused, as if struggling to find the correct term. He is a problem, Vecthar finished. A human problem. Logan's problem-solving technique was less precise strike and more hit it until it begs for mercy. He sprinted across a cracked overpass as the Dominion siege crawler advanced up the main causeway, 30 tons of armor, bristling with plasma cannons and shield modulators, designed to raze fortified cities. Now lumbering through a ghost town, Logan activated his jump pack mid-stride, flinging himself high into the air, fusion core glowing on his back like a pissed-off sun. He landed atop the crawler, magnetic boots anchoring to the hull. Dominion turrets swiveled too late. Surprise ugly, he slapped the fusion core onto the command node. The crawler's AI responded instantly. Unauthorized, yeah, I know. He kicked off just as the core detonated. The explosion was not clean. It cracked the sound barrier twice, then inverted gravity for 3 blocks in every direction. A small chunk of the crawler embedded itself into a nearby clock tower that had already survived 3 apocalypses. Logan landed hard, rolled, coughed up dust, and gave the wreckage a casual middle finger. Next time, bring 2. In orbit, Vecthar stared in silence as the crawler's destruction fed live across every battlefield relay. He cannot win, he said finally. And yet, one AI responded, he is not losing. Silence. Then came the message. Broadcast, across all Dominion frequencies. Unencrypted. Deliberate. It was Logan Cross, covered in soot, leaning casually on what looked like a dismembered siege drone. Dear invaders, he began. You brought a war cruiser to a knife fight. I brought a wrench, a dead battery, and the will to be the worst day of your immortal lives. He smiled that goddamn smile again. This is your daily reminder. I'm still here, and I haven't even started drinking the good beer yet. Sincerely, that human problem. They called it a backwater world, a primitive mudball. Then it made the Empire bleed. Final transmission from Dominion substrategist Corin Vex, Earth Theater. The warcruiser screamed. Not literally. Its voice was electromagnetic, encoded and compressed across quantum relays. But the effect was the same. Systems failing, hull integrity crumbling, AI screaming in raw binary. The crucible of order, once a city-sized avatar of Dominion supremacy, now limped through Earth's low orbit like a wounded predator, leaking fire and panic. Inside its command nexus, strategist Vecthar gripped the rail as sparks rained from a ruptured ceiling conduit. Deploy atmospheric culling drones, initiate planetary sterilization. Impossible, one of the AIs snapped. Primary launch silos are offline. Human sabotage confirmed. Reactor output unstable. Another. Screen blinked. Then another. Alert. Exospheric navigation offline. Earth-based signal jamming detected. Severe system disruption from Terran source. Codename. Logan Cross Vecthar bared his fangs. How can one man cripple a war machine built to flatten worlds? He didn't cripple it, the AI replied. He understood it. He made it forget what fear was, and then reminded it. On Earth, Logan Cross stood at the summit of an old comms tower, wind tearing at his coat. The beer in his hand was warm, but he held it like a metal. Below him, Texas smoldered, half machine, half myth, and above, the bleeding heart of an empire, circling like a vulture missing half its feathers. "She's limping, boys," Logan muttered into the transmitter. "Time to bring her down." Hidden rail batteries fired one by one, artillery from another age, pulsing with jerry-rigged power fed through decades of Earth-grown engineering and Dominion parts, stolen and abused in equal measure. The first shot hit the warcruiser's underbelly. The second tore through its tertiary engine cluster. The third? It was personal. A repurposed payload filled with shattered Dominion armor and coded fragments of battlefield taunts, broadcast across the Crucible's open channels. An insult made of steel and spite. Inside the Dominion flagship, panic became prophecy. The artificial gravity destabilized. Entire decks ruptured. Command AI blinked out mid-sentence. Vecthar stumbled into the emergency override chamber, pressing his palm to the neural node embedded in the floor. "Evacuate the ship." "Negative," the AI answered. "Escape pods offline. Atmospheric entry imminent. Strategic command recommends surrender." That word, foreign, forbidden, hung in the air like poison. Vecthar howled. "I am Dominion. I do not—" The deck caved in beneath him. A fitting punctuation. Logan watched as the crucible of order broke apart in orbit. It didn't explode in one dramatic fireball. No, this wasn't a holofilm. It failed like a dying god, pieces shearing off, plasma bleeding into the upper atmosphere. The great beast that had swallowed civilizations now nothing more than falling debris. He took a long drink. "And that," he said to no one in particular, "is how you make an empire bleed." Around him, the last of his autonomous systems went silent. Traps spent, drones disabled, ammunition down to the final clips. He had nothing left but scars, a scorched field of victory and the knowledge that Earth would see the stars on its own terms now. "Sir, we're receiving planetary broadcasts again," came a voice behind him. Elena, one of the resistance operators who had found him weeks ago, young, brilliant, believed in things. "What are they saying?" Logan asked. She handed him a headset. The voice crackled to life. Human stations across every continent. "This is Free Earth Channel 7, reporting live. The Dominion flagship is down. Repeat, the Crucible is falling. One man has held the line in Texas. One man, Logan Cross, has shown the galaxy what it means to be terribly, beautifully human." He snorted. "Dramatic much?" Elena smiled. "You are the news now." He looked to the sky, where wreckage rained like broken promises. "Then let's give them a headline they'll never forget. In the Dominion's farthest databanks, deep within their stellar empire, an entry was made. Classified, Earth conflict, unsuccessful engagement outcome, warcruiser destroyed, cause, Logan Cross new directive, avoid Terran-class worlds without full strategic overwhelm. Note, do not underestimate the human problem." Logan sat on the hood of a dead siege crawler as the sun rose over a quiet battlefield. Birds, real ones, not drones, had begun to return. He cracked his last beer. "Cheers," he whispered to the sky. "To the next poor bastard who tries. This." The can hissed. The world turned, and the man who made an empire bleed? He just took a sip,